The land of myths and volcanoes. Indonesia is a land where fire meets water, where mountains rise from the sea, where islands drift like jewels scattered across the equator. It is a place shaped by volcanoes, by earthquakes, by storms, by tides that pull with lunar rhythm. To understand the mystery of a pyramid said to be 28,000 years old, one must first breathe in the atmosphere of this land, a realm older than memory, older than empires, older even than written word. Stretching from Sumatra in the west to Papua in the east, Indonesia lies upon the ring of fire, where tectonic plates collide, shift, and roar. Volcanoes erupt, shaping islands, burying valleys, and creating fertile soil that feeds millions. Yet this fertility comes with destruction, and so the land has always lived in cycle of birth and death, of rising and falling, of creation and loss. Such a landscape nurtures myth, for humans watching mountains breathe fire and seas swallow land cannot help but weave stories of gods, of spirits, of forgotten worlds. The islands of Indonesia have been home to humans for tens of thousands of years. Archaeological discoveries reveal bones of Homo floresiensis, the tiny people of Flores, who lived alongside our ancestors. Tools, carvings, and caves suggest cultures deep in time, people surviving, thriving, creating art long before history as we know it began. The land remembers footsteps that modern minds have forgotten, whispers of civilizations that may have risen and fallen long before the pyramids of Egypt or the temples of Sumer. Legends speak of kingdoms drowned, of cities swallowed by sea, of builders who came with knowledge from stars. The people of these islands remember through song and chant, through dance and stone. Myths are not merely stories, but vessels carrying fragments of memory, echoes of truth wrapped in symbol. For in a land where oceans rise and volcanoes bury, memory must take form of story, to be carried through generations, to survive where ruins cannot. Close your eyes now and imagine the Indonesian archipelago at dawn. Mist curls above rice fields, volcano peaks glow red with sun, waves crash upon endless shores. Fishermen chant as they push boats into water, children laugh, birds sing. Yet beneath this living rhythm, silence waits, silence of ruins buried, silence of memories unspoken. Somewhere in highlands of West Java, a hill rises, covered with grass and shrubs, stones scattered upon its slope. To villagers it is simply Gunung Padang, the mountain of light, the hill of enlightenment. To some it is sacred, to some it is legend, and to a few it may be the oldest pyramid on earth. Before speaking of that hill, one must feel the setting of Indonesia itself, the pulse of land and sea. The islands lie at crossroads of cultures, between Asia and Australia, between Indian Ocean and Pacific. Traders crossed here, languages mingled, faiths merged, knowledge spread. This crossroads has always been alive, always moving, always shifting. If a lost civilization once thrived, if a pyramid was raised in age long forgotten, this land of crossing is where it may have been born. The climate of past was different, seas lower, lands broader. During ice ages, many islands of Indonesia were united in great landmass called Sundaland. Java, Sumatra, Borneo, and Malaya were joined. Vast plains stretched where now waves roll, rivers wound across fertile valleys. Forests thick and green spread without break. People lived upon this land, hunted, gathered, built, dreamed. When ice melted, seas rose, valleys drowned, mountains became islands. Whole world changed, and with it, memory. What was once homeland became archipelago. What was once fertile plain became sea floor. This drowning of Sundaland lingers in memory of myths, tales of flood, of lost lands, of vanished kingdoms echo across Indonesia, across Polynesia, across world. Perhaps Atlantis was not in Atlantic, but here, in drowned plains of Indonesia, swallowed when Ice Age ended. Perhaps survivors fled, carrying memory to Egypt, to Sumer, to Americas. Perhaps the cradle of civilization was here, and its ruins lie hidden beneath forests, beneath seas, beneath volcanic ash. The land itself invites such speculation. Indonesia has more volcanoes than any other land, mountains that rise and fall with fury of earth. Many are sacred, many worshipped as dwellings of gods. Around them lie ancient temples, Borobudur, Prambanan, Candi scattered through Java, Bali, Sumatra. These are known, but older stones lie hidden, stones of Gunung Padang, stones that whisper of age beyond measure. Close your eyes again and feel breath of volcano. Ash falls like snow, rivers run black with lava, sky glows red. Imagine living here 20,000 years ago, watching mountains roar, seas rise, forests burn. Imagine building sanctuary, pyramid upon hill, altar to gods, place of refuge, place of memory. Imagine generations gathering there, chanting, praying, keeping knowledge alive. Then imagine land changing, floods rising, people scattering, pyramid buried, forgotten, remembered only in whisper, in myth. Part 1 of this journey is not to prove or disprove, but to prepare, to feel Indonesia as land of fire and water, land of myth and memory, land where lost civilizations could rise and fall unseen. To stand upon Gunung Padang is to stand upon crossroads of time, where past and present blur, where myth and science collide, where possibility stretches beyond imagination. So let us walk slowly, gently, into story of a pyramid older than history, a monument perhaps 28,000 years old, hidden in heart of Indonesia. The journey begins with land itself, with mountains and seas, with myths and memories, with whispers of drowned plains and fiery peaks. From here we move toward the hill, toward stones upon slope, toward mystery that may reshape human story forever. The mystery of Gunung Padang high in the misty highlands of West Java, Indonesia, lies a hill that has puzzled generations. To the villagers, it is a place of reverence, known as Gunung Padang, the mountain of enlightenment, a sacred site where people have long gathered for prayer, for ritual, for meditation. At first glance, it looks like any other hill, covered with green shrubs, tall grasses, and scattered stones. But when one walks closer, the stones reveal themselves not as natural scatter, but as orderly arrangements, terraces, platforms, and walls. The hill begins to whisper of design, of hands that placed, of minds that planned. Archaeologists first visited in the early 20th century, and they described the site as megalithic, perhaps 2,000 to 3,000 years old, built by local cultures. They saw the rectangular stones, basalt columns shaped by nature, stacked and aligned into terraces. They cataloged the site as impressive, but not revolutionary. Yet the people of West Java knew it as far older, as sacred beyond measure, a place of ancestors, a place that transcended memory. In recent decades, new eyes have looked again at Gunung Padang, and what they have seen challenges everything we thought we knew about history. Beneath the surface, below the terraces visible today, lies layer upon layer of construction. Ground-penetrating radar, seismic studies, and drilling have revealed chambers, walls, and structures hidden deep within the hill. Some tests suggest that the foundations may date not to 2,000 years ago, but to 20,000, even to 28,000 years. If true, Gunung Padang is not only oldest pyramid on Earth, but also proof of civilization long before Sumer or Egypt, proof that humanity's story stretches into shadowy depths of forgotten time. Imagine standing at base of Gunung Padang, looking up at terraces rising one upon another, like steps ascending towards sky. The stones are dark, heavy, rectangular, some leaning, some fallen, some standing firm as when first placed. The terraces form levels, platforms, each with patterns, each with alignments. To walk upon them is to walk upon design, upon structure, upon purpose. It is not random hill, not natural scatter, but monument, shaped by hands, shaped by minds with vision. Close your eyes and picture the builders. Who were they 28,000 years ago, in age when most imagine humanity as scattered hunters, simple gatherers? Yet here they were, cutting stones, shaping terraces, aligning with stars perhaps, building sanctuary, pyramid, temple upon hill. They must have had organization, must have had knowledge, must have had vision of eternity. What stories did they tell? What chants did they sing? What prayers did they whisper as they laid stone upon stone? The mystery deepens with science. Carbon dating of soil and organic material from deepest layers has returned dates of 20 to 28,000 years. The mainstream argues, disputes, says that stones may be natural, that dates may be of soil, not construction. The debate rages between those who defend orthodox timeline and those who dare to say history is older, deeper, stranger. Gunung Padang becomes battleground, not of weapons, but of ideas, of paradigms, of memory itself. Legends of the region speak of ancestors who built great monuments, who lived before floods, before catastrophes, before memory was broken. They speak of sacred builders who vanished when seas rose, when mountains shook, when sky darkened. The people kept memory through song, through story, through reverence of sites like Gunung Padang. Science may dispute, but myth remembers, and myth often carries echoes of truth. As night falls upon the hill, silence deepens. Stars spread above, volcanoes loom in distance, air cools with mountain breath. One can imagine ancient ceremonies upon terraces, fire burning, drums echoing, voices chanting in rhythm with stars. The stones, silent now, once resonated with sound, once held vibration of prayer, once carried memory of people who walked here before history began. To walk through Gunung Padang today is to walk through time. Each stone tells story, each terrace whispers of past, each hidden chamber promises secrets yet unrevealed. Excavations continue, debates persist, but the site itself remains calm, silent, patient. Whether humanity accepts or denies, the stones endure, waiting for those who can listen, waiting for those who can see. Gunung Padang is not alone. Across Indonesia are other sites, megaliths, stone arrangements, temples, mountains of mystery. Yet none as vast, none as old, none as challenging as this hill of enlightenment. If it is truly 28,000 years old, then it changes everything. Civilization did not begin with Sumer, did not begin with Egypt, but long before, in forgotten age, in land of fire and water, in Sundaland, cradle of myth. Part 2 of this journey lingers here, upon hill of stones, upon terraces that defy time. It invites you to imagine, to wonder, to question. Could humans 28,000 years ago build such a monument? Could they align it, design it, purpose it? If so, then humanity's story is not of linear rise, but of cycles, of rising, falling, forgetting, remembering. Gunung Padang may be doorway, threshold, whisper of memory, calling us to look deeper, to listen more closely, to accept that truth may be far older than we ever believed. Legends and oral traditions of a forgotten age. In the islands of Indonesia, myths flow like rivers, carrying fragments of memory from times before history. To outsiders, they may seem like simple stories, Yet to those who listen carefully, they are echoes of worlds lost, reminders of floods, fires, and civilizations that once thrived. When we turn to Gunung Padang, when we wonder if a pyramid 28,000 years old lies beneath its slopes, it is not enough to look only at stones and soil. We must also listen to voices of the land, the songs of the people, the tales whispered from ancestor to child for countless generations. Throughout Java, Bali, Sumatra, and beyond, there are legends of kingdoms swallowed by sea. The Sundanese people tell of lands that stretched far into the horizon, fertile plains and thriving villages, drowned when waters rose and covered valleys. Fishermen speak of temples beneath waves, of lights glowing in deep ocean, of echoes of bells when storms roll. The myths say that ancestors fled to highlands, carrying memory, carrying story, carrying sacred chants that preserve what ruins could not. One tale speaks of builders who came from the south, tall beings with knowledge of stars, who taught humans to plant, to weave, to shape stone. They built sanctuaries upon hills, aligned with heavens, resonant with sound. But when great flood came, when sky darkened, when earth trembled, they vanished, leaving behind only ruins, only whispers. The people remember them not as strangers, but as ancestors, guardians, teachers who promised to return when world was ready. Legends from Sumatra recall a golden kingdom that stretched across plains, ruled by a wise king who possessed knowledge of heavens. He built palaces of shining stone, gardens of wonder, temples of harmony. Yet greed grew, balance faltered, and heavens sent fire and water to cleanse. The kingdom was lost, swallowed, remembered only in song. In Bali, priests chant of Dwipa, the sacred island, birthplace of knowledge, where gods once walked among humans, guiding, teaching, creating. The chants say Dwipa fell, drowned by rising seas. Yet its memory lives in rituals, in offerings, in dances that mimic cycles of cosmos. Elsewhere in Indonesia, myths tell of cataclysm, of fire from mountains, of floods from seas, of endless night. These are not unique to Indonesia. Myths of flood are found across world, in Sumer, in India, in Greece, in Americas. Yet in Indonesia, where seas did rise, where Sundaland was drowned, the myths carry weight of geography, of reality. What science calls melting of ice, rising of oceans, people remembered as anger of gods, as punishment, as cleansing. Gunung Padang itself is wrapped in legend. Villagers say it is not natural hill, but sacred mountain, built by ancestors, used for ceremony, for prayer, for connection to divine. Some say it was raised in single night by giants, others that it was throne of ancient king. Priests speak of spirits dwelling there, guarding, watching, protecting. To step upon its stones is to enter sacred ground, to be in presence of ancestors. Myths keep sight alive, not as ruin, but as living place of spirit. Close your eyes now, and imagine long ago, before seas rose, before floods swept plains. Imagine vast land of Sundaland, rivers winding, forests thick, villages thriving. Imagine temples upon hills, sanctuaries aligned with stars, pyramids like Gunung Padang glowing with fire and sound. People gather, chant, dance, honor gods, honor ancestors. Life flows with rhythm of cosmos, harmony between land, sea, and sky. Then imagine earth trembling, mountains roaring, seas rising. Villages vanish, temples drown, people scatter. They carry memory in stories, in chants, in rituals. They pass them on, generation to generation, until today. These myths are not illusions. They are vessels of memory. Science may dismiss, yet often myth remembers what stone forgets. Flood myths may be poetic telling of ice age's end, when seas rose hundreds of feet, drowning coasts, swallowing plains. Myths of fire may recall volcanic eruptions, ash covering sky, rivers of lava burning forests. Myths of gods may be memories of teachers, ancestors with knowledge beyond measure. Myths of temples beneath sea may be whispers of real ruins, still lying hidden, waiting to be found. In listening to these traditions, we open ourselves to possibility that history is not as linear, not as simple as textbooks suggest. Human story may be cyclical, rising and falling, building and forgetting, remembering through myth when stone is lost. Gunung Padang fits within this pattern, not anomaly, but confirmation. Its stones echo myths of builders, its terraces whisper of kingdoms drowned, its chambers resonate with chants of ancestors. As night deepens in West Java and villagers gather by fire, they still tell these tales. Children listen, wide-eyed, elders chant, voices soft, steady. The myths are not dead, not past, but living. They carry weight of memory. They preserve essence of truth. They remind that world we know is but one cycle in endless rhythm. So part 3 lingers in realm of story, of oral tradition, of myth that carries memory through time. It tells us that perhaps the pyramid beneath Gunung Padang is not surprise, not outlier, but fulfillment of stories told for thousands of years. Legends prepare us for discovery, soften us to truth, remind us that we have been here before, that we have walked with ancestors, that we have built and lost and remembered. In myths of Indonesia, in chants of its people lies mapped to past, guiding us gently, patiently, toward truth waiting beneath stone and soil. The dating controversy and the battle for human history. Gunung Padang stands silent, its stones scattered across terraces, its hills sloped in grass. Yet beneath that silence, a storm has long raged. Not a storm of wind and rain, but a storm of words, of arguments, of theories colliding. For at the heart of this mountain lies a question that unsettles the very timeline of human history. Could this site be 28,000 years old? Could people of that distant age have built a pyramid, have shaped terraces, have created chambers beneath the earth? If the answer is yes, then every history book must be rewritten, and with that comes resistance, hesitation, and fierce debate. The first explorers to study Gunung Padang in modern time saw only megalithic site upon surface. They dated it to a few thousand years, perhaps 2 or 3, placing it comfortably within known timeline of local cultures. For decades, this assumption stood, unchallenged, accepted by scholars. But in recent years, new technologies have peeled away layers of earth, revealing deeper mysteries. Ground-penetrating radar has shown cavities, voids, chambers hidden within hill. Core samples drilled into depths have brought up fragments of organic material, soil, and stone. Some of these fragments, when tested, suggested ages far older than expected. Carbon dating of material from lowest levels has returned astonishing numbers. Some samples point to ages of 20,000 years, others as much as 28,000. If these results are accurate, Gunung Padang is older than any recognized pyramid, older than Egypt's Giza, older than Mesopotamia's ziggurats, older than cities of Sumer or Indus. It would stand not at dawn of history, but deep in forgotten night, an age when orthodox science believes humans were only simple foragers. Such claims ignite controversy. Mainstream archaeologists respond with caution, with skepticism, sometimes with outright dismissal. They argue that dating of soil does not prove construction of stone. They say carbon dates reflect organic material buried naturally, not placed by builders. They caution against leaping from evidence of age to conclusion of advanced civilization. For them, extraordinary claims demand extraordinary proof, and they insist proof is lacking. On the other side are researchers who see Gunung Padang as key to forgotten chapter. They argue that the terraces, alignments, and hidden chambers show deliberate design, that the depth of construction cannot be natural. They believe that conventional timeline is incomplete, that human civilization is older, more cyclical, more mysterious than textbooks admit. For them, Gunung Padang is not anomaly, but revelation, a window into world erased by cataclysm. The debate is not only scientific, but emotional, political, cultural. If Gunung Padang is accepted as 28,000 years old, then narrative of human progress changes. No longer is civilization linear, rising steadily from cave to village to city. Instead, it becomes cyclical, with rises and falls, with lost ages and forgotten empires. Such a shift threatens pride of established history, challenges authority of institutions, unsettles foundation of education. Resistance is natural, for to accept is to admit we know far less than we thought. Close your eyes now and imagine being a scientist drilling into hill of Gunung Padang. You lower equipment, retrieve samples, test them, and see numbers on screen that defy belief. You hesitate, you repeat, you question. Could it be true? Could this hill be older than all known civilization? The stones around you seem suddenly alive, whispering, mocking certainty, asking you to listen. You feel thrill of discovery, but also fear of rejection, of ridicule, of challenge to authority. The controversy also reveals something deeper about human nature. We cling to stories we have built, to narratives we teach, to timelines we trust. To change them is unsettling, like pulling foundation from house. Yet truth does not bend to comfort. Stones do not lie. Soil does not pretend. If Gunung Padang truly carries age of 28,000 years, then it is gift, not threat, an invitation to expand, to accept mystery, to grow. Around world similar controversies exist. Sites in Turkey, like Göbekli Tepe, once thought impossible, are now accepted at 12,000 years. Ruins beneath seas of Japan, off coast of Yonaguni, spark debate. Pyramids in Egypt and Mesoamerica raise questions of connection. Gunung Padang joins this chorus, another voice saying that humanity is older, deeper, more complex. Each site chips at wall of orthodoxy. Each whisper invites us to listen. As dusk falls upon West Java, debates fade into silence. The stones remain, unmoved by arguments, patient as always. They do not rush, they do not shout, they wait. For centuries they have waited. Whether accepted or denied, they endure. The controversy is human, fleeting. The truth, whatever it may be, is eternal, carved into basalt, buried in soil, hidden in chambers of earth. Part 4 reminds us that discovery is not only about evidence, but about courage. To face possibility that history is older is to face unknown, to step beyond comfort, to admit mystery. Gunung Padang challenges not only archaeology, but imagination, asking us if we are willing to see ourselves not as first, but as inheritors of lost legacy. Debate will continue, voices will clash, yet stones will remain, whispering patiently to those who dare to listen. If true, the implications for human history. If the dating of Gunung Padang is accurate, if the stones truly mark construction 28,000 years ago, then the implications are profound. It would mean that humanity's story is not what we believed, that civilization did not begin in Mesopotamia, did not begin in Egypt, did not even begin in the Fertile Crescent we so often call the cradle of civilization. Instead, it would mean that deep in Sundaland, in lands now broken into islands, people gathered, organized, built, and left behind pyramid that challenges our timeline. Such a truth would ripple across every field. Archaeology would be forced to expand its scope, to consider that stoneworking, architectural planning, and complex society existed far earlier than expected. Anthropology would need to admit that human culture is not linear, but cyclical, with rises and collapses, with forgotten epochs buried by sea and fire. History itself would become longer, deeper, more mysterious, no longer confined to neat timeline of 10,000 years, but stretching back into depths of 20,000 and more. Close your eyes and imagine this altered history. 28,000 years ago, a people thrived. They did not simply hunt and gather, but organized labor, moved stones, aligned structures with stars, created ritual centers. They may have mapped skies, tracked solstices, measured time in ways we struggle to grasp. They may have possessed knowledge of energy, of resonance, of sound, long before modern science gave them names. They may have understood harmony of Earth and cosmos, and built monuments as reflection of that harmony. If Gunung Padang is accepted as pyramid of lost civilization, then every flood myth becomes more than story. The tales of Atlantis, of Lemuria, of Sundaland would shift from legend to memory. Ancient people did not invent floods in imagination. They recalled cataclysm, recalled drowning of lands when ice melted and seas rose. Their myths were not fiction, but survival of memory. Gunung Padang would stand as monument proving that memory true. The implications stretch further. Religions would be touched, for if humanity once possessed knowledge long before scriptures, then divine connection is older, deeper, perhaps universal. Spiritual traditions might see in Gunung Padang evidence that humanity always reached toward sacred, always built temples, always sought alignment with stars. Philosophies would reflect, asking whether cycles of rise and fall are part of eternal rhythm, whether humanity is destined not only to progress, but also to forget and remember. For science, too, the shock would be great. Technology does not always mean machines. It can mean understanding of sound, of stone, of energy, of nature. If ancient builders shaped pyramid 28,000 years ago, then they mastered skills we dismiss. They could cut and place basalt, transport heavy blocks, align terraces with precision. Perhaps they knew ways to resonate stones, to make them lighter, to shift them with sound. Such knowledge would not mean they flew in metal ships, but that they understood nature in ways modern science often neglects. The broader implication is humility. Humanity prides itself as pinnacle, as first, as most advanced. To learn that others came before, rose, built, thrived, and fell, is to be humbled. We are not first, not only, but part of cycle. Our cities, our towers, our machines may one day vanish as theirs did, leaving ruins, leaving whispers, leaving myths for distant descendants. Gunung Padang reminds us that permanence is illusion, that memory is fragile, that we too may be forgotten. Imagine a world where Gunung Padang is accepted. Schools teach not 10,000 years of history, but 30, 40, 50. Children learn of cycles, of floods, of civilizations lost. They grow with awareness that humanity is ancient, that memory stretches deep. This awareness may bring wisdom, patience, respect for nature. If ancestors rose and fell, then we too must walk carefully, must learn balance, must preserve. The implications also touch identity. If civilization is older, then all humanity shares deeper root, not one region, not one people, but all descended from lost age. Gunung Padang does not belong only to Indonesia, but to humanity. Its stones tell story of us all, of what we were, of what we may be again. It becomes sacred not for one nation, but for Earth, reminding us of unity, of shared origin. As night deepens and stars shine above West Java, the pyramid whispers possibility. What if our ancestors were not primitive, but wise? What if they built in harmony with Earth and we forgot? What if their ruins wait not to shock, but to teach? Gunung Padang, if true, is not only pyramid, but mirror. It reflects our past, warns our present, guides our future. Part 5 ends not with certainty, but with wonder. For to accept 28,000 years is to step into mystery, to open heart to unknown, to walk into silence of ancient stones. It reminds us that human story is not closed, but unfolding, not narrow, but vast. Gunung Padang asks us to listen, to imagine, to accept that civilization is older, deeper, more fragile, and more eternal than we ever believed. The builders, who were they? To stand before the terraces of Gunung Padang is to face a riddle carved in stone. The hill itself seems to breathe with mystery, its basalt columns aligned in ways that suggest intent, its hidden chambers echoing with silence of forgotten time. If these terraces and structures were built 28,000 years ago, then who were the builders? What people, what culture, what hands shaped these stones? The question lingers like mist upon mountain slopes, heavy, haunting, without simple answer. Mainstream history tells us that humans of 28,000 years ago were hunters, gatherers, moving in small groups, living by firelight, leaving behind only bones, tools, and cave paintings. They were not thought capable of moving great stones, of planning terraces, of building monuments. Yet Gunung Padang whispers otherwise. The builders must have existed, must have walked upon the land of Sundaland, must have gathered in numbers large enough to quarry, transport, and align stone. They must have known more than survival. They must have known vision. Some imagine them as ancestors of people still living in Indonesia, connected by blood, by memory, by myth. Others think they may have been distinct, a civilization now vanished, erased by floods and volcanoes, leaving behind only whispers. Whoever they were, they carried knowledge of stone, of earth, of sky. They understood resonance, for stones at Gunung Padang, when struck, ring like bells. Perhaps they used sound to align, to mark, to sanctify. Perhaps they knew patterns of stars, for many ancient structures across Earth are aligned to heavens. Close your eyes and picture these builders, men and women, not so different from us, yet living in a world older, wilder, more untamed. They move through forests, they sail rivers, they gather at Sacred Hill. They sing as they work, their chants echo across valleys, their voices merging with drum beats, with crackle of fire, with cry of birds. They haul stones, not with machines of steel, but with ropes, with logs, with will, with unity. They shape terraces, rising step by step, reaching upward as if to touch sky. They carve chambers, perhaps for ritual, perhaps for storage, perhaps for connection with unseen. Some legends speak of tall ones, beings of great stature, who guided, who taught. Perhaps these are memories of leaders, priests, visionaries. Perhaps they were simply humans, remembered as larger than life. Others suggest that survivors of earlier civilizations, from continents now drowned, carried knowledge here, teaching local people, building sanctuaries as seeds of memory. Whether local or foreign, they were human, breathing, dreaming, shaping. They built not for survival alone, but for meaning, for connection, for eternity. The builders must also have lived with nature in ways we cannot fully imagine. Surrounded by volcanoes, they felt breath of earth. They saw fire flow. They watched land rise and fall. To them, earth was alive, sacred, powerful. Their monuments were not separate from nature, but extensions of it, harmonies carved into stone. They built with basalt shaped by volcanoes, stones that carried fire of earth, and placed them upon hill that rose like altar. They did not dominate nature, but wove with it. If they existed 28,000 years ago, their world was changing. Ice sheets still covered far lands, but seas were lower, exposing fertile plains across Sundaland. Rivers flowed where now lies ocean. They may have farmed, they may have gathered plants, they may have domesticated animals in ways now forgotten. When seas rose, when floods came, their world shrank, their lands drowned. Survivors fled to highlands, to mountains, to islands. Some memory remained, preserved in myth, in stone, in ritual. Most was lost, swallowed by ocean, buried by ash. The builders remain faceless, nameless, yet not voiceless. Their voice is in terraces of Gunung Padang, in stones that ring when struck, in alignments that mirror stars. Their presence lingers in myths of Sundanese, in chants of priests, in stories of lost kingdoms. To listen is to hear them, faintly, softly, across distance of millennia. They remind us that we too are builders, that we too leave monuments, that we too may one day be remembered only in whispers. Imagine their daily life. Morning sun rises over forests, mist curls along rivers. Families awaken, fires crackle, children laugh. Hunters bring game, gatherers bring fruits, fishers return with nets. Women weave, men carve, elders chant. Then together they walk to Sacred Hill. Work begins, stones moved, terraces shaped, laughter mingles with labor, ritual with effort. At night fires burn upon hill, drums sound, dances honor ancestors. Stars watched in reverence. This life continues, day after day, season after season, year after year, until pyramid rises. Step by step, terrace by terrace, a monument not only of stone, but of life itself. If the builders were real, then their disappearance must also be faced. Perhaps they fell to floods, their plains drowned, their villages scattered. Perhaps volcanoes erupted, burying valleys in ash. Perhaps disease spread or wars consumed. Whatever the cause, their civilization faded, leaving behind only stones, only myths, only silence, and yet perhaps this too is lesson. Civilizations rise, civilizations fall, but spirit of humanity endures, finding new expression, new memory, new song. Gunung Padang stands as their voice. It speaks softly, patiently, telling us that humanity is older, that builders once lived who we have forgotten. It reminds us that progress is not linear, that loss is real, that memory can vanish like mist, yet it also reminds us that spirit of building, of seeking meaning, is eternal. We too are builders, and our works may one day be ruins upon which others wonder. Part 6 is reflection upon the builders, upon who they were, upon what they left. They may never have names we can recover, but they do not need them. Their stones are their names, their terraces their voices, their pyramid their memory. To stand upon Gunung Padang is to meet them, across gulf of 28,000 years, to feel their presence, to hear their whisper, to remember that we are not first, but inheritors of long, mysterious, beautiful story. Connections across the world, Gunung Padang does not stand alone. Across the earth, scattered across continents and islands, are pyramids, terraces, megaliths, and temples that echo each other. They rise in Egypt, in Mesoamerica, in Turkey, in China, in Peru, each built by cultures far apart in space, and according to Orthodox history, far apart in time. Yet their shapes align, their purposes resonate, their mysteries intertwine. When one looks at Gunung Padang, one cannot help but see it as part of greater pattern, as part of global story that connects humanity beyond memory. In Egypt, pyramids of Giza stand against desert sky, vast monuments of limestone and granite. They are dated to 4,500 years ago, Yet their precision, their alignment to Orion, their mysterious chambers, invite questions. Some see them as culmination of Egyptian culture, others as inheritance of knowledge far older. Their form, rising in steps or smooth sides, mirrors Gunung Padang's terraces. Though separated by oceans and millennia, the echo is clear, a shared vision of reaching upward, of building mountain of stone to connect earth and sky. In Mesoamerica, pyramids rise in jungles. At Teotihuacan, Pyramid of the Sun and Pyramid of the Moon dominate landscape, aligned with stars, with solstices, with cosmic rhythm. In Maya lands, stepped pyramids at Tikal, at Chichen Itza, reveal same vision. Platforms rising to heavens, stairways climbing sky. In Gunung Padang, the terraces too rise, one upon another, stairways of stone leading upward. Purpose may differ, style may vary, yet pattern is undeniable. Humanity again and again builds sacred mountains of stone. In Turkey, at Göbekli Tepe, stone circles carved with animals stand 12,000 years old, already rewriting history. They are not pyramids, but they are proof that advanced organization, ritual, and stoneworking existed far earlier than believed. Gunung Padang, if 28,000 years old, would extend this even further. The two sites together suggest not isolated anomaly, but continuous tradition of sacred architecture stretching deep into time. China holds pyramids too, buried beneath fields, covered with trees, hidden by soil. Some rise as earthen mounds, others show stone foundations. Local legends speak of emperors and ancestors, yet whispers say they are far older. In Peru, the stepped pyramids of Caral, dated to 5,000 years, reveal again the global rhythm. Even in Polynesia, on remote islands, megalithic platforms rise, altars of stone aligned to stars. Everywhere one looks, stones tell same story. Why pyramids? Why terraces? Why mountains of stone? Perhaps because pyramid is simplest way to build upward, stable, enduring. Yet perhaps also because pyramid mirrors mountain, natural form of earth rising to sky. Humans across worlds saw mountains as sacred, dwelling places of gods. Bridges between realms. To build pyramid is to recreate sacred mountain, to bring cosmos into human hands. Whether in Egypt, in Java, in Mexico, in Peru, the vision is same, mountain of stone connecting earth and sky. Close your eyes and imagine ancient travelers walking, sailing, moving across lands. Did they carry stories? Did they carry symbols? Did they share visions? Or perhaps no travelers were needed. Perhaps human mind everywhere reached same truth, that to connect with divine is to build mountain, to align with stars, to create harmony of stone and sky. Whether shared by contact or by spirit, the result is same. Pyramids scattered across earth, echoes of one another, fragments of forgotten song. Gunung Padang may be oldest of them all. If dated to 28,000 years, it predates Egypt by vast ages, predates Mesoamerica by even more, predates Göbekli Tepe itself. It becomes not isolated hill, but root of tradition. First whisper of song that later civilizations sang more loudly. Perhaps builders of later pyramids carried memory of older ones. Distant echoes passed through myth. Perhaps all pyramids are children of first sacred mountain, descendants of vision born in Sundaland. The connections are not only architectural, alignments to stars recur across the world. Giza aligns to Orion, Teotihuacan to Pleiades, Stonehenge to solstices. Gunung Padang too may align, though studies are young, incomplete, debated. Yet pattern suggests humans everywhere looked to sky, measured, aligned, built. They sought not only to survive, but to harmonize with cosmos. Pyramids, terraces, circles, all become instruments, tuning human life to rhythm of stars. Sound too plays role. Stones at Gunung Padang ring, when struck like bells. At Malta, in hypogeum, chambers resonate with sound at particular frequency. At Chichen Itza, clap before pyramid echoes as chirp of sacred bird. Builders everywhere understood resonance, used stone as instrument, created spaces that vibrated with chant, with prayer, with drum. Connection across world is not only shape, but sound, vibration, resonance with earth. These connections challenge idea of isolation. If cultures separated by oceans built same forms, did they share contact or did they share spirit? Did seafarers cross seas long before history admits? Did knowledge spread from lost civilization, drowned by flood? Or did human soul everywhere reach same truth, that mountain, star, stone, sound, all are sacred? The question remains open, but pattern remains undeniable. Gunung Padang thus becomes thread in great tapestry. It ties Indonesia to Egypt, to Turkey, to Mexico, to Peru, to China. It whispers that humanity is one, that vision is shared, that memory is global. It reminds us that while we live scattered, divided by language, by time, by sea, we share deeper root. The pyramids across earth are like stars across sky, separate, yet shining together, forming constellations of memory. As night deepens over West Java, stars glitter above terraces of Gunung Padang. Somewhere far away, stars glitter above Giza, above Teotihuacan, above Corral. Stones rest, silent, patient, yet together they tell same story. Humanity's oldest story, of seeking, of building, of reaching for sky. Part 7 closes with reflection. Gunung Padang is not anomaly, not outlier, but part of global chorus. Its terraces join voices of pyramids across earth, singing song of humanity, song of mountains of stone, song of reaching beyond survival toward meaning. In connections we see not division, but unity, not accident, but pattern, not silence, but music of human spirit echoing across ages, across continents, across stars. The great cataclysm and the drowning of memory. When we imagine a civilization 28,000 years ago, we must also imagine the world it lived in. That world was not stable, not calm, but in constant change. The Ice Age still gripped much of Earth. Glaciers stretched across continents. Sea levels were far lower than today. In Southeast Asia, a vast landmass, Sundaland, connected many islands into a continent, with wide plains and flowing rivers. It was a fertile world, rich in resources, and it may have been cradle for builders of Gunung Padang. Yet this world was doomed to vanish, drowned by waters, shattered by fire, shaken by earth itself. As ice melted, oceans rose. Between 20,000 and 8,000 years ago, sea levels climbed more than 100 meters, swallowing coastlines, drowning plains, breaking Sundaland into islands we now call Indonesia, Malaysia, and beyond. Villages disappeared, fields drowned, temples consumed by sea. For survivors, it was not slow science of climate, but terror of flood, walls of water rising, advancing, erasing all. Myths remember this as anger of gods, as punishment, as cleansing, as endless night. Flood myths are universal. In Mesopotamia, story of Gilgamesh speaks of deluge. In Hebrew scripture, Noah builds ark to survive waters. In India, Manu is saved by fish. In Greece, Deucalion and Pyrrha repopulate world after flood. In Americas too, tribes remember waters rising, people fleeing to mountains. And in Indonesia, Tales of drowned kingdoms, of lost lands beneath sea, of survivors carrying memory to high ground, are told to this day. Such universality suggests memory of real event, not invention, for entire Earth endured cataclysm as Ice Age ended. But flood was not only force. Earth shook, volcanoes erupted, skies darkened with ash. Indonesia sits upon ring of fire, where tectonic plates collide, where mountains explode with fury. Ancient builders of Gunung Padang lived in shadow of fire, and perhaps died by it. Ash could bury valleys, lava could consume villages, earthquakes could topple terraces. Combined with floods, disasters erased worlds, leaving survivors scattered, memory fragmented. Imagine the builders watching horizon. At first, rivers swell, fields vanish, seas creep inward. Then storms rage, rain falls without end. Thunder rolls like anger of heaven. Mountains roar, ash falls, darkness covers sun. Villages burn, temples collapse, forests vanish. Families flee, carrying children, carrying memory, but leaving behind stones. They climb hills, mountains, islands, watching worlds sink beneath waves. They tell children, remember, do not forget. We once had kingdom. We once built temples, but waters took them, fire destroyed them. Tell story, keep memory, so it may live. And so myths begin. Science sees this in layers of earth. Sediment shows sudden shifts. Volcanic layers mark eruptions. Seashells lie far inland. Fossils tell of drowned forests. Geology confirms what myth remembers, that great cataclysm ended Ice Age, that seas rose, that earth trembled. Yet science often stops at data, while myth carries soul, telling us not only that it happened, but what it felt like. The fear, the loss, the silence afterward, the emptiness of world changed forever. Gunung Padang may have survived partially because it was high ground. While plains drowned, while valleys vanished, hill remained, terraces still standing, though covered with soil, hidden beneath growth. It became sacred hill, memory preserved not in full, but in fragments. Survivors may have returned, using sight again, preying upon stones, adding layers, reusing terraces. In this way, sight lived through cycles, built in one age, remembered in another, sanctified in yet another. Layers of history, layers of memory, fused into one hill of mystery. The cataclysm also explains why so little remains. If civilization thrived across Sundaland, then most of its cities, its villages, its temples now lie beneath Java Sea, South China Sea, Indian Ocean. They are not gone, but hidden, waiting beneath waters, covered in coral, in sand, in silence. Occasionally, fishermen tell of ruins seen below, of stone walls, of columns beneath waves. Yet systematic exploration is rare. Oceans keep their secrets, technology still limited. The cataclysm buried memory not only in myth, but in sea. This cycle of rise and fall, of building and loss, may not be unique. It may be rhythm of humanity. Civilizations rise during calm ages, fall during upheaval, are forgotten during long recovery. Memory survives in myth, in scattered ruins, in whispers of stone. Then new civilizations rise, believing themselves first, forgetting deep past. Gunung Padang suggests this rhythm, that we are not pinnacle, but continuation, not beginning, but middle of endless cycle. Close your eyes and feel silence after flood. Survivors gather on mountain, world below drowned, horizon now sea. Fires burn, prayers rise, voices tremble. Elders chant stories of land that once was, of temples that once stood. They promise to remember, to pass on, to keep alive memory of lost age. Their voices are carried through millennia, arriving to us as myth, as whisper, as echo in stone. The great cataclysm is both end and beginning. It ended world of builders, drowned Sundaland, shattered memory. But it also began myths, traditions, stories that guided later people. It planted seeds of caution, seeds of reverence for nature, seeds of humility. Gunung Padang is remnant of that time, fragment of lost world, whisper of drowned civilization. It stands not only as ruin, but as survivor, witness to flood, to fire, to silence, and to rebirth. Part 8 closes with this reflection. The cataclysm that drowned memory was not only tragedy, but cycle. What was lost gave rise to myth. What was destroyed gave rise to new. What was forgotten waits to be remembered. Gunung Padang is door to that remembrance, stone key to story of humanity older than we admit. Story written in water, in fire, in silence, and in stars. Rediscovery in modern times. For centuries, Gunung Padang lay quiet, covered by grass, cloaked in silence, its stones scattered like broken teeth across the hill. Local villagers walked among them, children played upon them, elders whispered stories about sacred place where spirits dwelled, where ancient kings had prayed, where ancestors had left their marks. To the people of West Java, the hill was not merely pile of stones, but place of power, revered though not fully understood. For wider world, however, it remained invisible, hidden in plain sight, waiting to be seen again. Modern rediscovery came slowly. In early 20th century, Dutch colonials noted the site, catalogued it as megalithic remains, but did little beyond description. To them, it was another local ruin, interesting but not extraordinary, dated to few thousand years, placed safely within accepted history. Decades passed, and site slumbered, visited by locals, studied briefly by archaeologists, yet always under veil of assumption. No one imagined it might be older than Egypt, older than Mesopotamia, older than known civilization itself. It was not until later, in 21st century, that Gunung Padang began to stir interest anew. Indonesian researchers, using tools of modern science, began to test soil, to drill cores, to scan with radar. What they found challenged everything. Beneath terraces visible to eye, beneath surface stones, lay layers upon layers of construction. Chambers hollow and silent, filled with mystery, appeared in scans. Cores revealed organic material buried deep, carbon dated to astonishing ages. Some results spoke of 10,000 years, some of 20,000, even 28,000. These numbers shook assumptions. If correct, then Gunung Padang was not only oldest pyramid, but also proof of civilization forgotten. The stones that had rested quietly beneath feet of farmers now carried potential to rewrite human story. News spread, slowly at first, within circles of alternative archaeology, then more widely, drawing attention, curiosity, and controversy. Imagine being one of those researchers, standing upon hill with drill in hand, lowering metal into earth, retrieving cores of soil and stone, bringing them to laboratory. You wait as carbon dating machines hum, as samples burn, as numbers emerge upon screen. You see age not of thousands, but tens of thousands, and you feel chill, as though Earth itself has whispered secret too great to bear. You repeat tests, again and again, but numbers remain. You know what they mean, but you also know what resistance they will face. And resistance came. Mainstream scholars raised eyebrows, questioned methods, dismissed claims. They said soil samples cannot date stone construction, that organic fragments may have been older than building itself, that radar voids may be natural, that interpretations stretched beyond evidence. They warned against sensationalism, against rewriting history upon fragile data. For them, Gunung Padang was megalithic site from few thousand years ago. Nothing more. Debate sharpened, lines drawn between those who saw revelation and those who saw error. This controversy is not unique. Every site that challenges timeline faces same path. Göbekli Tepe was once doubted, now accepted at 12,000 years. Yonaguni underwater structures in Japan still argued natural or human. Pyramids in Bosnia claimed by some, denied by others. Gunung Padang joins this family of contested sites, battleground between possibility and orthodoxy. In such battles, patience is needed, for truth takes time to surface, like stone rising through soil. Technology, however, continues to advance. Ground-penetrating radar, electrical resistivity, seismic tomography each reveals more layers, more hints of hidden chambers, more anomalies that nature alone struggles to explain. The hill appears not natural, but shaped, layered, filled with voids that suggest design. Stones resonate, ringing like bells, hinting at acoustic purpose. Alignments, though debated, suggest relation to stars. Piece by piece, evidence grows, though acceptance lags behind. For local people, rediscovery is not surprise, but affirmation. They always knew Hill was sacred, that it held power, that ancestors spoke through it. For them, science is catching up to myth, confirming what tradition preserved. This blending of local memory and modern method creates harmony, joining voices of past and present. In their chants, in their ceremonies, in their quiet respect, Gunung Padang has always lived, never forgotten, only hidden from eyes of world. Close your eyes and picture future excavations. Tents rise upon hill, lights glow at night. Archaeologists brush soil, machines hum, drones scan from above. Slowly terraces are revealed in full, chambers opened, artifacts uncovered. Perhaps tools will be found, perhaps carvings, perhaps bones of builders. Each discovery will draw gasps, each stone lifted will peel away layer of forgotten time. The hill will become not only ruin, but revelation, drawing seekers from every corner of earth. Yet we must also imagine silence that remains, for many discoveries take years, decades, lifetimes. Funding is scarce. Politics intrude, skeptics resist, weather erodes. Gunung Padang may keep secrets for centuries yet, revealing only fragments, whispering truth slowly, testing patience of humanity. Like guardian, it releases what it chooses, when it chooses, holding back full story until we are ready. Rediscovery is thus not event but process, unfolding like dawn, light creeping slowly across sky. At first, only outlines are seen, then colors, then shapes. Gunung Padang stands at such dawn, half revealed, half hidden, waiting for full light. Its stones whisper patience, reminding us that time is long, that 28,000 years are but breath to earth, that our eagerness must yield to slow unfolding of truth. Part 9 closes with reflection, that rediscovery is not only about stones, but about us. It tests our willingness to listen, our humility to accept, our courage to expand history. Gunung Padang does not shout, it waits. It does not force, it invites. In its silence lies both challenge and gift, reminding us that history is not finished, but living, that rediscovery is not end, but beginning of journey deeper into mystery of who we are. The great hypotheses. When modern science begins to touch a mystery as old as Gunung Padang, questions multiply. The stones do not give direct answers. They stand in silence. They watch as humans argue. They wait as theories rise and fall. Around the terraces and chambers, hypotheses gather like clouds, drifting across the sky of imagination. Some are cautious, grounded in geology and archaeology. Others are bold, stretching into visions of lost civilizations, of cosmic alignments, of forgotten knowledge that reaches beyond history itself. One hypothesis holds that Gunung Padang was built by early agricultural society in Sundaland, far older than known cultures, but still human, still born of labor and ritual. According to this view, people learned to farm earlier than believed, organized themselves into villages and priesthoods, and built terraces as sacred temple, place of ceremony, place of gathering. The pyramid then represents birth of organized society, thousands of years before Mesopotamia, showing that human capacity for culture blossomed wherever conditions allowed. Another hypothesis is that Gunung Padang is not singular, but remnant of larger network, part of civilization that flourished across Sundaland before floods. Its builders may have raised other monuments, now drowned by seas. The pyramid that survives is tip of iceberg, last echo of continent-wide culture. This idea connects Gunung Padang with myths of lost lands, with tales of Atlantis, Lemuria, and Mu. Perhaps Sundaland itself was lost empire, cradle of humanity, forgotten when waters rose, remembered only in stories carried to far lands. There are those who suggest more radical vision, that builders possessed advanced knowledge not rediscovered until modern times. They may not have had machines of steel, but they understood resonance, sound, energy, alignment. They could move heavy stones through techniques we no longer practice. They could create acoustic effects that altered consciousness. They could track stars with precision. To them, the pyramid was not only temple, but instrument, a device that tuned human life to cosmos, that connected earth with sky through vibration and geometry. Still others whisper that Gunung Padang may be inheritance, not invention. Survivors of even earlier civilization may have carried memory, carried knowledge, and built upon hill to preserve it. If so, pyramid is seed planted by remnants of world we have no record of. Civilization that rose and fell long before 28,000 years, leaving only faint traces. In this view, humanity has risen many times, fallen many times, each cycle erasing most but leaving fragment, whisper, ruin. Gunung Padang is one such whisper, speaking of cycle that stretches beyond imagination. Some hypotheses extend beyond Earth itself. They point to myths of sky gods, of beings who descended from heavens, who taught humans arts of building, of farming, of worship. Could Gunung Padang have been place of contact, landing site, sacred meeting ground where human and cosmic joined? Such ideas are controversial, yet they linger, for many ancient cultures speak of teachers from stars, of gifts of knowledge descending from sky. The terraces, aligned perhaps with constellations, may hold memory of such encounter. There is also hypothesis of continuity, that builders of Gunung Padang were ancestors of later civilizations, that knowledge survived through fragments, carried west to Mesopotamia, north to China, east to Polynesia. Over millennia, fragments became myths, practices, architectural forms, pyramids of Egypt, ziggurats of Sumer, temples of Maya, all may be echoes of first pyramid in Sundaland. If true, then Gunung Padang is not outlier, but origin, mother of monuments scattered across Earth. Skeptics, of course, propose natural explanation. They say basalt columns form naturally, that terraces may be shaped by erosion, that chambers may be fractures. To them, hill is geological formation, later used by humans, modified in small ways, but not built as pyramid. In their view, Gunung Padang is reminder not of lost civilization, but of human tendency to project pattern, to seek mystery where none exists. This hypothesis, though cautious, cannot silence allure, for stones ring, terraces align, layers reveal more than nature alone explains. Close your eyes and drift through these hypotheses like clouds. Some are light shaped by winds of imagination, others are dense, heavy with rain of evidence. None may be final, all may contain fragment of truth. For mystery this deep cannot be captured by single thought. It demands patience, humility, openness. Perhaps reality is blend. Perhaps builders were early humans, yet guided by knowledge now forgotten, building in harmony with stars swept away by flood, leaving fragments for us to wonder. What is certain is that Gunung Padang forces us to question linear view of history. It suggests that progress is not simple line, but wave, rising and falling, forgetting and remembering. It reminds us that humanity is older than we admit, more mysterious than we accept, more fragile than we imagine. Each hypothesis, whether cautious or wild, serves same purpose: to expand imagination, to open door wider, to let us walk into silence of ancient hill with eyes willing to see. Imagine archaeologists of future standing upon hill with better tools, scanning deeper, opening chambers, retrieving artifacts. They may confirm one hypothesis, disprove another, or reveal something no one predicted. They may find carvings, tools, inscriptions that tell us who built, why, and how. Or they may find nothing but stones, silence refusing to speak, leaving mystery intact. Either way, Gunung Padang will continue to live, for mystery itself is life, drawing seekers again and again. Part 10 closes with gentle truth. Hypotheses are not final answers. They are lanterns carried into dark, flickering, fragile, illuminating small parts of vast unknown. Gunung Padang does not demand certainty. It invites wonder. It does not end debate. It begins it. In silence of its stones, we are asked not to conquer mystery, but to live with it, to breathe with it, to let it teach us humility, imagination, and patience. The great hypotheses are not cages, but wings, lifting human mind into sky of possibility, reminding us that to wonder is itself ancient art, as old as stones upon sacred hill. Lessons for the present. Gunung Padang is more than puzzle of stones, more than mystery of dates and layers. It is mirror held before us, asking what we see in reflection of forgotten age. If people once built pyramid 28,000 years ago, if they rose and fell, then what does that say about us today? What lessons whisper from terraces, from chambers, from silence of hill? The first lesson is humility. Modern humanity believes itself pinnacle, highest form of civilization, first to master energy, machines, science. Yet Gunung Padang hints that we may not be first, only latest in long cycle. Others may have risen before, in ways different yet advanced, and they too believe themselves secure, eternal, untouchable. But nature proved greater. Floods came, fires erupted, earth shifted, and they were gone. Humility reminds us that we too are fragile, that our towers and machines may one day vanish, leaving only fragments, myths, and ruins. The second lesson is respect for earth. Builders of Gunung Padang lived in harmony with land, using basalt columns already formed, shaping terraces into natural hill, aligning with sky, with resonance, with rhythms of earth. They did not conquer nature. They worked with it, listening, shaping, balancing. Our age often forgets this, cutting, drilling, burning, taking without harmony. Stones whisper to us, remember balance. Remember that survival is not conquest, but relationship. That earth is not resource only, but partner, sacred and alive. The third lesson is memory. Cataclysm erased much of past, yet fragments remain. Myths carried through fire and flood, stories whispered by elders, stones rising from soil. Gunung Padang shows that memory survives if we keep it, if we tell stories, if we honor places. In our time, memory too can be lost, drowned not by water, but by noise, by forgetting, by distraction. To keep memory alive is sacred duty, for without memory we wander blind, repeating mistakes of past. The fourth lesson is patience. Stones waited 28,000 years to be noticed, to be studied, to be wondered at. They remind us that truth unfolds slowly, not at speed of machines, but at rhythm of earth. An age of instant answers, of quick conclusions, patience is rare, yet essential. Gunung Padang teaches us to wait, to listen, to allow mystery to unfold in its time. Another lesson is unity. The pyramid connects to monuments worldwide, showing that humanity is one, that across continents and millennia, we share vision of sacred mountain, of alignment with stars. In present world divided by borders, by language, by conflict, Gunung Padang whispers unity, reminding us that deep past belongs to all, that roots are shared, that story of humanity is one river flowing through many lands. It also offers lesson of resilience. Ancestors faced flood, fire, upheaval, yet survived, carried memory, rebuilt, continued. We too face crises, climate change, rising seas, shifting earth. If they endured, so can we. If we listen, adapt, respect balance. Gunung Padang becomes symbol of survival, standing through ages, weathering storms, wading through silence, reminding us that resilience is possible, that humanity can endure even after collapse. Close your eyes and imagine walking terraces at dusk. Wind whispers through grass, stars appear above. You feel presence of ancestors, not as ghosts, but as memory carried in stone. They do not speak words, but lessons, through silence, through endurance, through form of pyramid itself. You feel small, humbled, yet also connected, part of continuum, thread in tapestry stretching back and forward. For scientists, Gunung Padang is call to courage, to test, to dig, to question assumptions, even at risk of controversy. For philosophers, it is invitation to rethink progress, to accept cycles, to see time as rhythm, not line. For spiritual seekers, it is temple, proof that humans have always reached for sacred, always built to align with cosmos. For all of us, it is teacher, whispering lessons of humility, respect, memory, patience, unity, resilience. Perhaps greatest lesson is wonder. In a world where so much is explained, categorized, consumed, mystery often fades. Yet Gunung Padang restores wonder, reminding us that Earth still holds secrets, that past is deeper than we know, that silence itself can teach. To live with wonder is to live awake, open, grateful. Stones do not answer, but they invite us to keep asking, to keep imagining, to keep searching. Part 11 closes with reflection that Gunung Padang is not relic, but guide. It is not past only, but present mirror, future teacher. It reminds us who we are, who we may be, who we must become to survive. In its terraces we hear rhythm of earth. In its silence we hear voice of ancestors. In its endurance we glimpse possibility that humanity too can endure. If only we learn. Bridge between past and future. Gunung Padang rests in quiet hills of West Java, yet in its silence it has become bridge. It links past we have forgotten with future we have yet to imagine. It is more than ancient stones, more than terraces and chambers. It is doorway, threshold, connection between worlds. When we walk its slopes, when we touch basalt blocks warmed by sun, we do not only touch past, we touch possibility, we touch timelessness. To see Gunung Padang as bridge is to see how it connects myth and science. Myths speak of lost lands, of floods, of kingdoms drowned beneath sea, of ancestors who built and preyed upon mountain. Science brings tools, drills, radars, Lubs, numbers. At first, they seem opposed, one poetic, one precise, yet at Gunung Padang they meet. Myth preserves memory, science verifies fragments, together they weave fuller picture. Hill becomes place where imagination and evidence walk side by side, each confirming other, each stronger for union. It also bridges local and global. For people of Java, Hill has always been sacred, place of spirits, site of ritual, whisper of ancestors. For world beyond, it is discovery, headline, mystery. When these perspectives meet, respect grows, as global science honors local tradition, as local stories guide global inquiry. Gunung Padang becomes shared heritage, belonging not only to one land, but to all humanity. Stones remind us that while cultures are many, root is one. Memory is collective, story is shared. Gunung Padang also bridges time itself. It rises from age of ice, yet stands in age of machines. It witnessed floods, eruptions, silence. Now it watches satellites orbit sky. Drones buzz overhead, computers analyze its soil. It carries within it 28,000 years of continuity, yet still lives today, still matters, still speaks. In this way, Hill shows that time is not barrier, but river, flowing, carrying memory, linking ages into continuum. As bridge, it also links earth and sky. Terraces rise like steps of mountain, leading upward, aligning perhaps with stars. Stones ring with resonance, vibrating with sound that echoes through air, as though tuned to cosmos. Builders may have seen it as ladder, connection between world of humans and realm of divine, between ground and heavens. Today, when we study it, we too look upward, wondering at stars, seeking place in universe. Gunung Padang invites us to remember that search for meaning is eternal, shared across ages, across civilizations. But most of all, Gunung Padang bridges memory and vision. Memory of what was, vision of what can be. If once there was civilization that rose and fell, if once humans built in harmony with Earth, then perhaps we too can build, not identical but inspired. Pyramid is not only ruin, but teacher, showing us way to live connected, balanced, resilient. It whispers that future is not blind, that lessons are there if we listen, if we remember. Close your eyes and picture the ceremony upon terraces. Long ago, priests may have chanted beneath stars, drums may have echoed across hills, torches may have flickered. Today, researchers stand there with instruments, locals bring offerings, visitors walk in awe. Different, yet same, all seeking connection, all drawn by mystery. In this shared seeking, past and present meet, and future opens, shaped by respect, curiosity, and wonder. Gunung Padang also asks us to reflect on destiny of humanity. Are we fleeting, destined to vanish like builders before? Or can we learn? Can we carry memory? Can we build bridges that endure? Pyramid reminds us that even when civilizations fall, stones endure, myths endure, something survives. Perhaps that is enough. Perhaps that is key. To leave behind not machines, but meaning, not only tools, but truth. As bridge, Gunung Padang challenges us to step across, to move from arrogance to humility, from separation to unity, from conquest to harmony. To step across is not to abandon science, but to expand it, not to deny myth, but to honor it, not to forget past, but to weave it into vision of future. Stones do not force, they invite, they open path, but step must be ours. Part 12 closes with gentle reminder. Bridge is not end, but beginning. It does not carry us only backward, into past, but forward, into possibility. Gunung Padang stands silent, yet it calls, asking us to cross, to connect, to become. It is not ruin alone, but living teacher, whispering lessons of endurance, balance, memory, unity. As long as it stands, humanity has doorway to deeper self, to older root, to wider horizon.